right. All right, be quiet. It's a doctor, so nothing I can take. It's a doctor to relieve this belly. It's a doctor, so nothing I can take. It's a doctor to relieve this belly. I can put the lime in the coconut and drink it on. Put the lime in the coconut. Go to Dr. Pepper. It's a Mandela too. I always thought they said and call it Dr. Pepper, but that's only in the commercial. Put the lime in the coconut and you feel better. That's what I'm talking about. The moon is white. The inside of coconut is white. You put the lime on it, yellow and green, manifestation, amalgamation, and it extracts certain nutrients out of the moon, the white, the coconut, so that when you drink it, it settles your stomach. So what makes your stomach unsettled? Fear. What takes away fear? The lime and the coke, you nut. Doctor, so nothing I can take is a doctor to relieve my belly aching. Jock tonight doesn't want to drink it. He likes to be the victim and be like, I don't want it. I don't like coconut. It makes me gassy. It's the smell makes me nauseous. All right. Look at my nose. I can make the joke. Get out of here. It's funny. Cop is the circle, and there's another word that starts with a K that means a circle. That's interesting. Anyway. So, right here, First Crusade. Remember how I just if people are watching this and just starting this one, go back to the end of the last one. I tell you what Crusade is hebretized. You can do it letter by letter, you can do it sound by sound, you can do it half and half. You can find a word that sounds like it solidly. Like Missouri is basically a garrison. It's a post, but it's like a door post, but it's basically a garrison. So Missouri is the gateway or garrison to Arkansas, which is the Araucana, the strength of Canaan, strength of synchronicity. Everybody has to be doing the same thing. If somebody isn't, then we don't like your kind around here. You can't make it up. Canaanites don't like outsiders. Where did they get saw or yeah, people the Canaanites who cry out, they cry out in synchronicity. Kansas, Arkansas, Tex Arcana, the mark of Cain. The mark of Canaan is Tex Arcana. A lot of trafficking that has to do with marking. If you want to get a CDL license in Arkansas, you have to take a course that teaches you about trafficking. Because there's a lot of trafficking that goes through here because of Mexico and Texas. Went to Texas, we had some fun. It's like, oh, did you? Wonder how. Mr. Bon Scott, or whichever one it was. There's two singers of AC/DC. That would be the testimony of the outstretched hand and the door to the outstretched hand. Backwards would be the outstretched hand to the door and the outstretched hand to the testimony. It's very interesting. Because that's alternate current and direct current. Direct current would be a door to the outstretched hand asking for something. Alternating current would be the testimony of the outstretched hand. That's amazing. That's beautiful. You can't make it up. I challenge the most intelligent people in the world to come against me. I swear. I swear right now. I'm not supposed to swear, but I mean, look at this. I challenge. It'll just be mind games. It'll just be condescending mind games. I can already hear it. Oh, What you're doing is just picking and choosing. What you're doing, I can already hear it. They're not going to give me any arguments except what they think I'm doing. They're going to think I'm doing some trick. What are you up to? What are you hiding? I'm not hiding anything. I'm not a jock tonight. I'm telling you the whole truth. That's why Paul knew all this stuff. That's what he said. Where is the debater of this age? They've made them all foolish. They're all foolish. The people who have these podcasts just constantly debating people, they become foolish. I don't have to name people um, unless I've interacted with them and I have an audience that knows the patterns of things. And there's a certain people I don't think deserve respect, so I can name them. But overall, it's not a good thing to just name people. I want to debate you. It's like, I want to discuss this with people because it's very interesting. I don't want to just be like, oh, it feels so good to be right because all these people don't know this. It's like, I want them to know this. Me telling them the basic stuff over and over, if I argue with people long enough, I'd be giving it to them. You know what I mean? There's no strategy for me to share this. That's why I love it. It's like it's like there's like the ultimate weapon, and just no, almost nobody wants to pick it up. But then there are people who's like, hey, doesn't the Bible say that like David could beat Goliath? And you just walk up and it's like, ooh, what's this? And it's like, oh, God. And they're like, oh no. And it's like that video of the monkey that picks up that's like messing with the gun, and the soldiers in Africa, they think it's funny, like, oh look, and then he picks it up and starts holding it, and they all start like running because they don't know what he's gonna do, and he accidentally shoots it, and it like scares him, and he starts like, he thinks it's really cool, and he's like, I don't know if it's fake or not, but that's basically me. I'm the monkey. I decided to pick up the gun. Man, am I gonna wreak havoc. Metaphorically, with word. So, freaking YouTube. Uh, all right. Siege of Antioch. I'm already okay. I'm only 8 minutes in. I want to get through at least the rest of this page, and that'll be the rest of the state. So, 1099, 99. Siege of Jerusalem. First Crusade. So the first time this happened, where I gave the etymology already, in the early 11th century, 11 is supposed to be a master building number in Freemasonry. So remember, these people are Freemasons. All this stuff is well created by now and solidified. In 1099 AD, First Crusade, you have to be, all these people have to be assembled already in order to do this kind of evil. So 11th is, and 11 is supposed to be like destruction. That's why in chapter 9, verse 11, they put those Jesuits put chapters and verses in a way that might have hid some stuff, but the numbers aren't as great as word. Numbers on the moon, word on the sun. So can't do everything with math. That's why everybody who obsesses over it becomes a lunatic. Just look up Einstein's quote about math, how it doesn't have anything to do with reality, and or not enough with reality. And then his quote about doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So 11 sometimes entails spell casting, but then they claim it's angels contacting. Some people interpret it as that. So all those things are very interesting because these people are occultic and they're doing this crusade. They're trying to say in the name of Christ, but that's not what it is. And they're doing this for control of Jerusalem because Jerusalem is more powerful than the Vatican, so they want to control that. They see it as a portal. You understand? They see it as a portal, and they want control over it. That's why they make movies and shows like uh, the Stargate and everything. They see it as a Stargate, Jerusalem. I even showed in a past live stream this guy who we were talking about spiritual stargates and stuff like that. It was really weird. He was a shaman, not a real shaman, because I shaman literally means to cry out like a testimony, and backwards it would be the testimony is like crying out. Maybe that's how it happens. You cry out against the testimony, then you submit to it, then you cry out for the testimony. Shaman. He went through the rigmarole. Shamans are good. A sorcerer is bad. See how you can like deconstruct their language? A shaman could be anything. It's a spiritual. They say shamanistic qualities. Um, it's like, yeah, it's like a seer basically. A wizard is someone who's wise. A sorcerer is someone who has the wisdom, has the source, but they don't tell you the source. A magician actually isn't that. A magician is actually Ma, who is like Ya, and then who cries out like Ya, or Ma, J, and then K. Magic is the outstretched hand is like Ya. So they're performing miracles. Magic is just miracles. See, the K, you know why Crowley spelt it with a K? Because K would then be cop. C is the outstretched hand. K is the cop. Circle K. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Circle K. You understand? They anyway. K is Q. KKK is QQQ. Q plus. QAnon. You know, KKK, like, after the 80s, according to Alex Jones, who has family in these CIA stuff, says that the KKK had been run by the FBI since like the early 80s. There wasn't really much real members there anymore after the 80s. It was just a FBI psyop. So the siege of Antioch. Antioch is man's mark and testimony of a small outstretched hand that beholds. Backwards, behold the small outstretched hand as a testimony to mark or border or signature of a man, of a people. That's weird. Antioch. That's where the first church was. See how if anybody wanted to correct me on that, there's no way. There's no way. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting how no way is Noah? And when they say there's no way you can do something, no way actually is rest. So you have an ark though. So you still gotta do something. Anyway. Spider-Man No Way Home. Giving you clues. Sp to divide two continuums. Good and evil. Ain, the testimony of the mouse, spied the ear of the city. So spider is dividing two continuums. That's a spider web. The web and the space on the spider and the web. The prey and the web. Two continuums. This is even spider. The testimony of the mouth of the city. The mouth of the city is a gate or a doorway. Doorways. That's where spiders are. Can't make this up. How does this work? I mean, English, like I said, it goes back, but you can do it to any language. The harder it is to do it, the farther away the language is from the root. And that gives you a clue of how much Egyptian, this is biblical Egyptian, not a race, not an ethnicity, ideology So, siege of Antioch took place during the First Crusade, 1097 and 1098. The first siege by Crusaders against the Muslim-held city lasted from 21st October 1097 to 2nd of June 1098. So they make a false paradigm. These two groups are fighting over control of the believers, and it's the leaders who are doing it. So it's the leaders who are doing it. And they're Kabbalists. They claim to be whoever they want. They're doppelgangers. So remember, nobody's your enemy. This isn't about Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, any race or anything. These are people who are Kabbalists who will call themselves anything. These are Freemasons who will call themselves Buddhists or Hindus or Muslim or Jewish or Christian. And they have to swear on either a Bible, a Torah, a Quran, or a Buddhist like proverb book or something in Freemasonry. So these are just people outside of wherever these religions originated. These are outsiders who just take the mental, psychological power of it and just use it to be rich or whatever. So nobody is an enemy of anything. This is etymology. Etymology is universal to where it's not. It's attacking what something was named after because of how it was birthed. If 5 different religions probably occupied a city after it was named, so it doesn't matter what the religion is who owns the city or is over. You know what I mean? I just need to explain these things. Because that's the gospel, or the good news is that you have to speak it in a way that appeals to every single type of person of any kind anywhere. It's your duty to do that if you call yourself a Christian or a Messianist. So let's see. Next is the siege of Jerusalem here. What was those? 1099. Or did I already do that? I'm going in circles here. Cop. I said cop too much. Now I'm going in circles. And I'm being bent and arrested in my mind. I said too much. Oh, so I just repeated something. Sorry. So now I was at 11 when I was saying what 11 stands for. 11th century, the Egyptian Fatimid Caliph al-Hakim by Amr Allah ordered the destruction of all churches and synagogues in Jerusalem. So see how to destroy those places is what would be against the Quran. But this is a Kabbalist. This is a metaphorically somebody like from the They Live movie, one of the aliens. It doesn't matter what religion, they're just doppelgangers here. And it's Egyptian. And so Fatimid would be Patamad, and so the mouth of the mark of the testimony is like a testimony to the door. Backwards, this is Fatimid, backwards is the door of the testimony, or remember it's eye or fountain, is like a testimony or an eye or fountain to the mark of the mouth, or the mark of a mouth. Remember, a mouth marks out borders, or some kind of authority. So caliph is ka, it's an outstretched hand asking for something. But it's a oh, that's interesting. Then it's lamed is a scholar. Ayin, testimony, what the mouth beholds. So it is the outstretched weak hand of the scholar's testimony and mouth, what he beholds. Backwards, it's behold the mouth of the testimony of the scholar, whose eye is like an outstretched hand asking for something. So that's what a caliph is supposed to be. Wow. Al Hakim, behold a cop who's like a testimony, or backwards, a testimony. Who is like a testimony or eye fountain of the cop, or one who circles and beholds, or behold the one who circles. Hakim. So if that has to do with military, that makes sense. Biamer, that's house or son of the evil people. No. Oh no, the people of the Roche. Yeah, that's good. Never mind. The people of the Roche. So remember, it's the good that are gleaned. So Amer might have been a name of his ancestors that had to do with farming, um, but also understanding the creator through farming. So that's why it's Amer Allah. Um, but see how he had this name, just like some of these House of Saudi Arabia, they have all these really nice names, but they're not what they control and what they're doing behind the scenes aren't is not good. So this Egyptian caliph ordered the destruction of all churches and synagogues. See, the spirit of this pharaoh spirit is always trying to destroy this language. That's why the because matter doesn't matter. So scripture is something that's there to protect mentally. It's something you can see and interact with so they can protect a certain language and mentality and way of life. It's a necessary matter to aid your body. I mean, it's multidimensional communication. It could be low communication, like animals, where they're just making little chirps and stuff. Very, very high communication, like Hebrew, the original Hebrew. And then God doesn't need a language. So he created a language in order to interact with us. So that's why I believe this is the original language that he gave Adam, because Adam manifested this when he named all creatures. He named them based on their behavior. The Shemites and the Hebrews preserved that culture and way of life and thinking. That's why they got a name. That's why they were the branders. They were the namers. I will name you. Better not wrong the poor or the needy or the helpless, or I'm going to name you the wrong or the poor. See, some people try to make up when they make up a new name, right? And they don't live it. If you make up a new name, you have to live it, right? That's why I'm like, people don't think it's like some funny thing. Like if you're Semitic or something, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be Shemiramoth now too because that's the most Semitic sounding name. I'm proud of being Semitic. It's like, no, you're making it too physical again. Shemiramoth is a process. It is something you do. You can't just call yourself it. All these people I'm telling you about are dead, and I'm naming them. The namer of the city of the dead. Shemiramoth. These are all cities of dead people, and their names. I'm naming them. I'm Shemiramothing right now. All right. 1099 to 1291, Kingdom of Jerusalem. So this is their little cabal, I guess they set up here. The kingdom, or what's kingdom? K, cop. The cop, or this one who surrounds, bends to authority, arrests, basically. The one who surrounds and has authority, his testimony, and his international trade, and his door to what is small. See, you're supposed to help the cycle, and everybody's supposed to go up and down and up and down and cycle, be healthy and all be equal. but they all have to participate and be equally good in order to be equal, right? So, um, so backwards it would be what is like a small door to international trade and a testimony to the one who encircles and has authority. So the word kingdom tells you where the authority goes this way when you read it, where the authority goes this way when you read it. You cannot make this up. You say you found a key to every door. Kingdom of Jerusalem was a Holy Roman kingdom established. Wow, so it's a stronghold of the Holy Roman Empire. It's a horn. One of its horns grew great even to the heavens. Everybody's worshiping it. Nobody can say anything about the horn that claims to be Israel, but it's actually Soviets. Okie dokie. Khazars. Tsars of Russia. Romanovs. I mean, come on. Don't be Rasputin. Rasputin. Literally, the evil cry out for a gift, or the gift to those who cry out for evil or against evil. Rasha. Put. People of the gift. So, evil crying out against the people of the gift is Rasputin. Backwards, it would be people of the gift cry out against evil. There's two Vladimirs, Putin and Zelensky, saying to put an armed weapon on. Scholar, the testimony, the dividing of the cops or those who circle the city. Can't make this up. Just he advertised it. It explained everything that he's doing in the war. Is that a bird? I think that's a bird. It lasted less than 200 years until 1291 when the last remaining outpost Acre, remember what I said Acre was destroyed by the Mamluks. So who is like the waters of a scholar and the sharpened cops. Okay, so what is like the waters of the scholar, the cops that divided cops, Mamluks, and then the other way would be to divide into continuums, the one who encircles and exercises authority, and scholars who is like water. That would be the opposite way. That's pretty interesting. 30 minutes, I got half an hour left. 1162 to 1227. Genghis Khan unified the Mongols. Genghis Khan. So Gan is to drag off. Khan has to do with that too, I think, right? Gondor, Gaigon. Yeah, I think Gan and Gar is similar, but it's a little different. I forgot how Gar is different. I think cast off. I think Gar is like cast off, has to do with drag away, but specifically the direction of it, and maybe Gan is to drag the opposite way, drag into something and then gar is to cast away. I don't know. But this is gone, so to drag away the international trade. Behold the testimony of the dividers, or the division, or the sharpening of the those who behold international trade and the draggers away. But yeah, the draggers away international trade and man. That's basically what that means. Or the men who drag away international trade. And Khan would be cops who behold the testimony, or the testimony beholds the cops. The ones who circle, and not to repeat myself. So Genghis Khan was founder of the Great Khan, or emperor, of the Mongol Empire. The captain's seat in Star Trek is called the Khan. You have the Khan. Genghis Khan was the founder and Great Khan Emperor of Mongol Empire, which became the largest continuous empire in history. After his demise, he came to power, uniting many of the nomadic tribes of Northeast Asia. I'll go out on a limb and say that Donald Trump is related to Genghis Khan because he has Asiatic eyes. He is the least American-looking president I've ever seen. People, oh, it's racist to say, what does American look like? It's everybody. No, see, a Joktanite paradise would be a country where they constantly say that, oh, it's made up of everybody, so there's not really an American. It's like, that's very easy. It's a perfect place for a Joktanite to hide. I'm a bad kid. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Okay, Genghis Khan, Asia. The testimony of sin, or shin. Not sin as transgression, sin as in the Hebrew letter shin and sin. So Asia would be the testimony of shin and sin, which is India and China, India and Japan. Sindhu, India, Shinzo, Japan, and everything in between. That's why Japan rules Asiatic, Bangladesh, or wherever it is. What is it? Maybe through Hong Kong they actually rule India. Whatever it is. Or Bangladesh has to do with a House of International Trade too. So that makes a lot of sense if you know the history of Bangladesh. It's just what manifests out of it. It doesn't mean they have to call it that. It's just it manifested out of it and they call it that, or they called it that and then it manifested out of it. Doesn't matter. Deep within the pleasure dome, decreed by Kubla Khan. Fucking Xanadu. They call it Xanadu. Xanadu means the door to the harlot. To harlotry. Zana. It's harlotry. Apparently in sheep, it's which is Albanian. It has to do with fairies. What do fairies do? They allegedly draw you away from God. You're not supposed to worship fairies, or all that stuff. You're not supposed to mess with them. Whatever they are, some kind of weird spirit that you perceive, and then they have this word for it. Pharaoh, fairies, para, to encircle. So it's just like a weird little circling thing. Literally, a firefly can be a fairy. Firefly probably has to do with the word fairy. And Pharaoh was probably a fill in the blank. Ramses, they do stuff under an eclipse. That's why it's Ra, is the sun that flew over the moon. Ra flew over the moon. It's an eclipse. And they have a certain energy they do, and it's old, very ancient wickedness. Okay. Man, my throat got really, really dry. And I just choked out. It's coughing real, real bad. It's usually when I reach the end here, so. Okay. Let me try to finish this. I only got like 25 minutes. Woo! My throat's getting real dry. This used to happen on past streams. I've been going a few hours. I mean, even though I get the breaks, it's an energy thing, I think. It's been speaking too much. So where's the pen at here? Ooh. Mm-hmm. Okay. Make sure the mic's working. It's interesting because apparently Genghis Khan or that invasion claimed that God had sent them to punish the world or something. And then it talks about a horse that is given a sword and they told to shed much blood or something like that, I think. And it's red. And I think that's the guy, unless it's um the Hun guy, who's the Attila the Hun. It's either Attila the Hun or Genghis Khan that finds the like rusty orangish sword in the soil, and he says it was given to him from Mars, and he used it to conquer everything. I don't know if that was the Huns or the Khans, but let's see. I apologize. So literally Asia. Well, you can't make this stuff up. So that's pretty crazy. All all that stuff. So here is fall of Baghdad and Mongol invasions of 1187 AD, 1204 AD, 1258 AD. The siege of Baghdad, which lasted from January 29th until February 10th, 1258 AD, entailed the investment, capture, and sacking of Baghdad, central capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, by Ilkhanate Mongol forces and allied troops. That almost sounds like Akhenaten. That's weird. So, and then a lot of these Mongols became monotheists, either a Muslim or Christian or Jew. Seriously, a lot of them became monotheist. Um, oops, I just press it. Make sure I don't press the buttons. My pen. Uh, so Baghdad. Let's see. The House of the Testimony of International Trade beholds the Beloved. So the Beloved beholds international trade and the testimony of the House of Testimony. A door of the testimony, doors of a testimony is supposed to be a dot, a beloved. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. $2 man. Um, so they're sieging Baghdad. So they're sieging the Mongols, which is, who is like a testimony of international trade. A small scholar, or the scholar, um, the scholar international and small international trade, small investment, maybe, um, is a testimony like water, or is like a testimony. That's interesting. So the siege of Baghdad, which lasted from, where I read that. Oh, the second of Baghdad, the capital of the Abbasid. So Abba's father of Sud, so the father of the hunter, or the father of the hook, or to hook or hunt the father. That's interesting, depending on which way you read it. Caliphate, and we already did the caliph. Caliph is actually a good word. By Ilkhanate, Mongol forces and allied troops. So let's see here. Il is El. So force, it's either God or the force of the cop beholds the men of the testimony and the mark of the eye or the testimony. So the eye marks, or the testimony marks, another testimony, and I guess that one beholds the cop, or the one who circles like God or like a power. Because remember, so il is L, power, K, K. This can be like the power to kill man with a testimony and a mark. That's actually probably more accurate for what they were doing. Il, K, K, Ana, Ta. You could say a powerful circler, and basically cop. A powerful cop is a testimony, has a testimony and mark. The godlike cop's testimony and mark can be that too. Il Khanate. That's crazy. Let's see, 44 minutes here. Almost done. This will be the last one for today. It's hot in here. I don't think you can see me sweating. Mongol invasions of Japan. People forget that they went that far. Because remember, they went towards the west. So of course Japan isn't far from them, but they went to the west, very far to the west. Okay, 1260 to 1274, Mongol invasions of Japan. So this is still, I think, before the schism of the Vatican and France. That was just power struggle, and then France became the Amalekite or lapdog to the Vatican, and England became Heth, Hittite, the Terror and Dread. You understand? That's why they have these deep underground military bases, because that's how the Egyptians were, and then that's how the Romans were, and that's how the Holy Roman Empire, the Romans finally defeating the Germanic, and then the Germanic mixed with the Roman being the head of England and America and all that. Yada yada, over and over. Yoda, Yoda. This is when you say yada yada. Yada yada. Get on with it. You know, Choctawites are rude. They like small talk. But they also like making talk small. Shorten your sentence. Danny DeVito is a perfect example of a Choctawite. Mongol invasion of Japan from 1274 to 1281 were major events of macro-historical importance. Despite their ultimate failures, these invasion attempts are among the most famous events in Japanese history. Isn't it interesting? But Shindo, Japanese are the top of the Shin. See, and then the Vedas were probably the top of the Sin. These are letters, not Sin as in Sin as the Hebrew letter. Most famous events in Japanese history. I even heaptized Japan and Nippon the other day. 1337 to 1453 AD, or the battle itself. 1396 AD, Battle of Nicopolis. That's the city of the conqueror. End of the Second Bulgarian Empire. Battle of Nicopolis took place on 25th of September 1396 and resulted in the rout of an allied army of Hungarian. Already went to the roots of Hungarian. Bulgarian, that would be Bala, Mistress or Troubler, who drags away man. Bulgarian. These are just Hebrew etymology. I ain't your enemy if you're Bulgarian. Doesn't matter. Everybody can be the same. It's through the language, not your skin color or your nation or anything. That's why Israel wasn't a nation. That's what Goyim actually means, the nations. So Israel wasn't a nation. They're not supposed to be a state. They're a wisdom culture who define their borders, Ta. The Aleph, they taught Ta to describe their borders. I mean, come on. And it killed all the dinosaurs. So Wallachian, that's Vav, that's the to hang or the hook of the scholar of the testimony of the cop, like people. But two L's can insinuate two Lameds, and then that's a vortex, but I just treat them as Lameds for now. French, Burgundian, German, and assorted troops. Germans are basically the people of the seed. It's very interesting. Maybe the Alemanni tribes had an Adamic language. I'm gonna preemptively do things to fight this cough. Isn't it interesting? It says you're on air when you're doing this. Talk about the Prince of Power of the Air. It's like I do this for a certain amount of time. It's like I can do this for 3 times, 10 times longer off air. Doing it on here, you sweat more, your throat gets more dry. It's kind of creepy, isn't it? It's eerie. It's foreboding. Right, German. Let's see. International trade and exalted men. The exalted men of international trade. That's why they had to beat the Germans and infiltrate and assimilate. Because the Germans, by definition, were men of exalted international trade. They're the ones who started the guilds and everything. Can't make this stuff up. Assisted by the Venetian Navy. Yeah, that's just Crete. Venetian. Vana. Ivan. Penne, the face of the marked face. Penna. Ta. On. The people of the marked face. Venetian. It's Pharaohnician. They're the sons of Pharaoh. They're the marked people. They want to mark everybody else. Do you understand? Can't make this up. Can't make it up. Hands of the Ottoman Empire. Oh, let's do Ottoman. So, the small mark of the small waters of man. Or backwards, you can say the testimony is like a small mark. A really small mark. Auto means to do something by yourself, though. So maybe it's 2 tas. It's interesting. Ottoman Empire is probably just to be set over people to divide the sheep from the goats. Because they like to divide the sheep from the goats too, because they want to hire the goats to try to defeat the real shepherd. It's like, you're not going to do it. Got a few minutes left here. Fall of Constantinople. I'll stop at the fall of Constantinople. How about that? Istanbul, Constantinople, Istanbul, Constantinople. 1415 to 1453 AD. This is after the schism. So now the priesthood is moving from the papacy to the emperor again. Or no, they go back and forth. Fall of Constantinople would then the next so on after that, I think they gave it back to the popes. But they had the papal authority until probably the fall of Constantinople. Istanbul. Istanbul would be Ish, man, Mark, blah. So the man marks the troubler or the mistress, or the mistress or troubler marks man, or the mark of man in the troubler or the mistress. And Constantinople probably doesn't sound any better. It's to be constant. The only thing that's constant is the Most High. So it probably sounds good, but they're blasphemous. They're trying to say, oh yeah, our glory lasts forever. It's like, no, the only glory that lasts forever is the Most High. Or the most expanded, to be very specific. Because it's infinitely expanded. So the cop, or just one who circles and bends the people over. This is like bent, like when they take you by the back of the scruff and bend you over and walk you around. That's why cops do that. It has to do with it. So the one who does all the responsibilities of a cop, of the small testimony. It's all about a small testimony. That's weird. Cop of the small testimony divides a mark on man, separating sheep and goats again, like a testimony to a small mouth of the scholar. That's weird. So backwards then, it would be the scholar's mouth is a small testimony to the marked men who divide the mark. The testimony of the cop. These things are mysteries. I'm trying to unwrap them in my mind. Fall of Constantinople was the capture of the capital of the Byzantine Empire. Maybe that's Byzantine is literally the house of the small harlot, or the house of the Joktanite harlot. So what Byzantine means empire, which occurred after a siege laid by the Ottoman Empire under the command of Sultan Mehmed II. See, Sultan, Shin, so sharpen. Sharpen the scholar's mark on man. That's Sultan. Backwards, men mark the scholar's sharpness. And then Mehmed is who is like the beholder of the waters through a door, or the door of waters. It's like beholding a door of waters. So that's why med probably is like medical, door of waters. Med, to the outstretched hand, medical. That's crazy. 55. We're at 55 here. What about War of the Roses? Maybe we can stop at War of the Roses. Because for some reason they claim roses represent Lucifer, but it's like, no, roses only do that because they represented Jerusalem first and the true Israelites. So Lucifer claims to be that, so he claims to be the rose. That's why they do that, the Rose Parade, all that stuff. So Wars of the Roses, 1455 to 1485 AD. The Wars of the Roses were a series of dynamic civil wars for the throne of England fought between supporters of two rival branches of the royal house of Plantagenet or something. So roses, roche. So the accumulate. What is a literally a flower? A rose grows like what roche means. So the beautiful part would be the top of it, chief, but it's out of thorns and venom and gall, figurative, and it blossoms into a rose. That's literally what roche means. So a rose is literally what roche means. So if you want to know what roche means, it's rose. So with all this Russia stuff coming on, you probably see a lot of rose symbolism with Russia and then with all that stuff. From Russia we love. So War of the Roche. This stuff happens. Over and over. And it's recorded in history. People ignore it. So the House of Plantagenet. So let's hebatize this. The mouth of the scholar is a testimony to the mark of the beginning of the mark. So remember, it's not always mark. There's signature or border. So let's try this again. The forwards, Plantagenet. The mouth of the scholar of man marks the beginning of the testimony in the mark and the bordering, the marking the borders. The marking the borders and the testimony is the beginning of the marking of man's mouth and scholarship. So forwards and backwards, it describes the whole thing. So when you describe something inside and out, that's where the saying comes from. The Hebrew language can literally describe something inside and out. That's very interesting. Well, we're going to end right there at the War of the Roses. Interesting. Okay. This was fun. I don't know what to say. All I know is today. What's today? Tuesday. It's only Tuesday? Wow. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do something Thursday with the Metroid. I don't know. I'm just getting tired. So I'll see you guys. When I see you guys, Baruch Hashem Yehovah Shaddai, Baruch Hashem Ben Elohim, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen, amen.